Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy that you stopped by, and if you click the like and subscribe buttons, you'll be notified of future videos. So what happened to Karen Silkwood? She was an American chemical technician and labor union activist known for raising concerns about corporate practices related to the health and safety in a nuclear facility. She worked at Kerr-McGee Cimarron fuel fabrication site in Oklahoma, making plutonium pellets, and became the first woman on the union's negotiating team. After testifying to the Atomic Energy Commission about her concerns, she was found to have plutonium contamination on her in her home, and while driving to meet a New York Times journalist and an official of her union's national office, she died in a car crash under very unclear circumstances. Her family sued Kerr-McGee for the plutonium contamination of Silkwood, and the company settled out of court for $1.38 million. While not admitting liability, by the way. Her story was chronicled in Mike Nichols' 1983 Academy Award-nominated film Silkwood, in which she was portrayed by Meryl Streep. She was born in Longview, Texas, the daughter of Merle and William Merle, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and William Silkwood. Raised in Nederland, Texas, she had two sisters, Linda and Rosemary. She attended Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas. She married William Meadows, an oil pipeline worker with whom she had 3 children. The couple had to file bankruptcy due to Meadows' overspending. And in the face of Meadows' refusal to end an extramarital affair, Silkwood left him in 1972 and moved to Oklahoma City, where she briefly worked as a hospital clerk. After being hired by Kerr-McGee, she joined the local Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers Union and took part in a strike at the plant. She was then elected to the bargaining committee, the first woman to have that position with this plant. She was assigned to investigate health and safety issues, and she discovered what she believed to be numerous violations of health regulations, including exposure of workers to contamination. She believed the lack of sufficient shower facilities would increase also the risk of employee contamination. On November 5, 1974, she performed a routine self-check and found that her body contained 400 times the legal limit of plutonium contamination. She was decontaminated at the plant and sent home with a testing kit to collect urine and feces for further analysis. Although there was plutonium on the inner portions of the gloves which she was using, the gloves did not contain any holes. This suggests that contamination had not come from inside the glove box, but from some other source. The next morning, she headed to the union negotiation meeting. She again tested positive for plutonium, although she performed only paperwork duties that morning. She was given more intensive decontamination. On November 7th, as she entered the plant, she was found to be dangerously contaminated, even expelling the contaminated air from her lungs. A health physics team accompanied her back to her home and found plutonium traces on several surfaces, especially in the bathroom and the refrigerator. When the house was later stripped and decontaminated, some of her property had to be destroyed. Silkwood, her boyfriend Drew Stevens, and her roommate Dusty Ellis were sent to Los Alamos National Laboratory for in-depth testing and determine the extent of the contamination in their bodies. So the question would arise, how did she become contaminated over this 3-day period? She said the contamination in the bathroom may have occurred when she spilled her urine sample on the morning of November 7th. This was consistent with the evidence of the samples she took home that had extremely high levels of contamination. She thought she had been contaminated at the plant. The Kerr-McGee management said that Silkwood contaminated herself in order to portray the company in a negative light. According to Richard Rashke's book, The Killing of Karen Silkwood, in 1981 and then again in 2000, the security at the plant was so lax that workers could easily smuggle out finished plutonium pellets. Silkwood said she assembled documentation for her claims, including company papers. She decided to go public with this evidence and contacted David Burnham, a New York Times journalist, who was interested in her story. On November 13th, 1974, she left a union meeting at the Hub Cafe in Crescent, and another attendee of the meeting later testified that she had a binder and a packet of documents with her at the cafe. Silkwood got into her car, headed alone for Oklahoma City, about 30 miles away, to meet Burnham, the New York Times reporter, and Steve Wadka, the official from the union's national office. Later that evening, Silkwood's body was found in her car, which had been run off the road, struck a culvert on the east side of State Highway 74, 0.11 miles south of the intersection of the West Industrial Road. The car contained none of the documents she had been holding in the union meeting at the Hub Cafe. She was pronounced dead at the scene, and what was believed to be an accident, a trooper at the scene remembers he found 1 or 2 tablets of a sedative, methaqualone, a quaalude, in the car, and he remembers finding cannabis. The police indicated that she fell asleep at the wheel. The coroner found 0.35 milligrams of methaqualone per 100 milliliters of blood at the time of her death, an amount twice the recommended dosage for inducing drowsiness. Some journalists have theorized that her car was rammed from behind by another vehicle with the intent to cause an accident that would result in her death. There were skid marks from the car present on the road, suggesting that she tried to get back on the road after being pushed from behind. Investigators also noticed the rear of her vehicle, that there was damage on the rear of her vehicle, and that the crash was not entirely a front-end collision. They never explained the damage to the rear of her car, and it showed paint chips could have only come from a rear impact by another vehicle. Silkwood's relatives confirmed that she had taken the missing documents to the union meeting and placed them on the seat beside her. According to her family, she received several threatening phone calls very shortly before her death. Speculation about foul play has never been substantiated. So, this is very interesting. Silkwood's father, Bill, and her children filed a lawsuit, and of course we know that they won that to the point of $1.38 million, with the company admitting no liability. According to Richard Rashke's book, The Killing of Karen Silkwood, officers investigating her death received death threats. One of the investigators disappeared under mysterious circumstances, and one of the witnesses committed suicide shortly before she was to testify against this Kerr-McGee company. Wow, this is all screaming foul play, but let's go ahead and see what the tarot cards have to say about this. I'm going to start out with the Haunted House Tarot. By the way, there's a picture of her car with the extensive front end damage. There's a newspaper article about her death. So I'm going to start out with the Haunted House Tarot, and I'm going to ask for the cards to tell us what happened to Karen Silkwood the night that she had a car accident. What happened to her? This is interesting. This looks like somebody going on a hunt, doesn't it? And he's got his prize killings on the wall, and he's going out on a hunt. What are you going to kill, Mr. Hunter? I see. It's a very calculated move by a king of wands with black wings. Very calculated move. Calculated. This was calculated. Her killing was calculated. So they waited for her to leave. They waited for her to leave the meeting, and they had it all lined up. It was all lined up what they were going to do to her. She knew too much, and they considered her to be a big threat. She held in her hands enough information to actually cause quite a bit of damage to that company's reputation and possibly their income. So they had to take her out. Now, it's interesting because it feels like they discussed a number of ways of taking her out, but this is the drugging her, because this is the Seven of Cups, and the Seven of Cups means that to drug her so she's not fully in her right mind. And that's what they did. So there they have it. And this is because of money. They took her out simply because of money. Look at all the wealthy. This is the Ten of Pentacles. It's the Ten of Pentacles card. They took her out solely for the reason of money. And that looks like a lab. Who is standing behind the lab? Oh my gosh. Who is that? Like, this looks like the lab or the company that she worked in, but it's almost like, I almost feel like this is Karen saying, I took the lab out from the other side. How would you do that? Let me talk to her. Karen, what are you talking about? Is this you? First of all, Karen, is this you? I mean, you're feeling pretty good that you did something to the lab from the other side, because you're an angel now, but you've got an agenda, like a revenge plan. Look at that. Is that really you? I'm going to ask. This is the steampunk that I use to communicate with the deceased. Karen, first of all, is this you, Karen? Is this you, and is that the company? Yeah, that would be her. This is, by the way, this is somebody who's turned into spirit. Somebody who's turned into spirit. She was physical, turned into spirit. Okay, and what did you do? What did you do, Karen? She said, I'm a chemist. Look at this. I worked with energy, or the concept of energy, or tinctures and chemicals. She worked with the chemicals, and she sent down the energy. This is literally sending it down into and having an influence on the physical. She sent down energy and had an influence on the physical. How in the heck did you do that, Karen? So what did you do? This is fantastic. She's like, I won. Seven of Wands. I conquered him. Oh my gosh. Wonder what happened to that company. Are you saying that did the company go under, or what did you do to that company? Did the Kerr-McGee company go under? I have to ask that, because it's almost like she's telling me that she conquered. So on June 23rd of 2006, Anadarko Petroleum acquired Kerr-McGee in an all-cash transaction totaling $16.5 billion and $2.6 billion in debt, and all operations moved from their base in Oklahoma in the United States. This is interesting. So she's feeling like, in this card, she feels like she conquered. Like she did exactly what she wanted to, not only, to prove what this company did, but she did something from the other side, which she's pretty amazed about. Now, I'm also going to use the regular tarot cards, because these dark tarot decks, or I'm talking about the haunted house, can sometimes just be, dark. Some of the things can be dark. So I'm going to ask the regular universal weight. Was there foul play around the death of Karen Silkwood? Was there foul play? Oh, you can't. Yeah. Hello. Plotting of her death. You can't make this up. There was foul play, 100%. They plotted to take her out. And by the way, she wasn't the only one they took out. She wasn't the only one they took out. So they wanted to take out anybody that was not in alignment with their goals and their greed and their money. They were going to take people out left and right. Anybody they needed to take out, they were going to take out. Yeah, there they are, ready to fight. Ready to fight. We're ready. If you defy us, we're taking you out. Wow. So what do we have to know? So definitely there was foul play. What do we have to know right now about this event happening? Like, let's bring us up to current. Is there anything that we need to learn about this event? Oh, and then I get the Page of Pentacles, which is the student learning. We have to learn to keep our focus. Keep our focus on companies that might be corrupt like this. And be stronger and smarter. And this is also piercing the crown, pierce through the leadership layers. So this is like focus and pierce through. It's almost like of these. Yeah, this is the large corporation card. It's almost like keep our focus and be willing to pierce through the crown. And this is a large organization, and the people are like servants, right? They're treated like servants. In other words, they don't really have any power. Oh, until that. Keep your power, the Knight of Wands. Don't be afraid to take action if there's something going on that's not safe. Don't be afraid to take action. That is so fascinating. So we still need to be aware of this today in the modern times. Karen Silkwood, I'm going to just communicate with you again. What do you, what is your view now? What do you think now of the world that we live in? Or what do you think now? Maybe of the United States, she was here. What do you think now of this? Justice, this is a scale, 6 of Pentacles. We have to take care. Oh, she's sending love to children, by the way. But this is justice. We have to make sure that we always have a system of justice. She's like, there always has to be a system of justice for when people are injured. This is the swords coming down, and the person has no control or thinks they have no control over it, and here comes the swords coming down. She's like, we always have to have some kind of a check, a system check. And there it is, a checklist. Person with a pen making off a checklist. We've always got to have some kind of a system or group or an outside situation looking at corruption. This is what she's saying. She's still very much connected to the corruption. She's very happy on the other side. This is like, I am completely happy on the other side of the Rainbow Bridge. This would be the Rainbow Bridge. And she is very happy on the other side. She's in a good place there. And she's like, I'm still my badass self. I'm still my badass self. She's still the Queen of Wands, fighting the good fight. Good for you, Karen, that you made the best of it over there, and that you still had some kind of an influence over here. That just really blows my mind. And is there anything that you're working on over there right now that you want to disclose? This will be interesting. Oh, 2 things came out. Oh my God, physics? Mathematical and physics. Look at the top of the card. That's mathematical, physics, and equations. And, stealing, mathematics. Hiding, stealing, technology. Formulas. Hiding and stealing. People corrupt, hiding, stealing, formulas, mathematics. Yeah. I don't totally understand, Karen, what you're working on, but it's definitely intriguing to me. Somebody's still stealing something to do with mathematics. Well, good for you. I'm glad to hear that people from the other side can still have an influence on the planet. That's amazing. I never really even thought about that. And she is the warrior. She is the fighter, the fight the good fight to protect the people. And the horrible murder that was done, and the fact that no one was actually went on trial for her murder is, there had to be how many other people involved in this that covered this up. The coroner, all the reports. I mean, I don't know who all covered this up, but it's tragic. No matter how you look at it, it's tragic. And, but this woman is doing really well on the other side. So definitely 100%, she was murdered. And they took all of the evidence, and then they gave death threats to other people. I mean, this was a company that you didn't really want to mess with. So let's hope that people like her will be able to identify companies that are evil like this. And I would simply say, don't work for them. If they can't find employees, then it's, I wonder if that's the best way. Let me ask the cards. Is the best way to have, I don't know, have an influence in this lifetime without doing any violence? We have too much violence in the world. Would the best activity that someone wanted to do if they know of a really corrupt company would be just not to purchase their products and also not to work for the company? Would this be the best way? Secrets. Oh, they're not going to reveal it to me right now? Why is that? That's about keeping secrets. Oh, they really aren't going to tell me what to do. They're like, you need to keep this a secret. There's still deception. We're not going to talk about this right now. Well, okay. All right. Well, I thought I would ask, but evidently there's enough corruption or whatever that we're not going to address it right now. And I'm going to go with that. So I would like to thank Karen for your work that you did in bringing this to light. And I'm sorry that that you had to sacrifice your life in order to do this. So thank you for being on my channel. This was a fascinating reading.